I liked a lot about this for a long time, and I don't think you did. We have so much to talk about with Saltburn. You and I, first of all, I don't think we agree on this movie, the latest
Not
from Emerald Fennell.
No.
Right. And we need to do a spoiler talk at some point separately.
For sure.
Because there's a lot to say here, many bodily fluids and twists and turns to discuss, and I don't want to ruin it for you. So consider this a spoiler-free review of Emerald Fennell's latest. This is why you need to be a member here at our channel. When you join, you get early access to stuff like our spoiler conversations, which we then post publicly to everyone a couple days later. So hit that join button, or there's a join link in the description, and it's all over the place.
Lots of people get lost in Saltburn.
Oh, that's just giving me goosebumps. Look, Pamela. Oh, no.
Saltburn takes place in the mid-aughts, and it is luxurious and bitchy and mean and sexy and twisted, and I totally dug it for a long time. And then it kind of bobbles the ending, which is why we need to do a spoiler talk. Barry Keoghan is a scholarship student at Oxford. It's the year 2006, somewhere in there, mid-aughts. We're listening to a lot of Arcade Fire and MGMT and The Killers, so it's mid-aughts. And he immediately becomes just entranced by the most popular guy at school who's part of the most popular clique. He's played by Jacob Elordi. His name is Felix. And who wouldn't fall for him? He is alluring and confident and insanely wealthy and aristocratic, and kind of moves with the grace and ease of somebody who's never had to worry about anything in their lives. But
he's
also
Elvis.
He has kind of a very sweet, he's Elvis, right? And he's the Elvis of Oxford. And he has almost a naive sense of noblesse oblige, because he takes Oliver's his name, Barry Keoghan's Oliver, takes him under his wing and invites him for the summer to his family estate of Saltburn. Oliver has insinuated himself with these people. Archie Madekwe, who starred in Gran Turismo, is Felix's cousin and is a bit of an outsider as well. And so he's naturally very suspicious of him and of his motives, and very protective of his place within this rarefied world. And so it's what happens over the course of this school year and the course of this summer, when he just navigates this world and increasingly becomes the predator within this world. It is very much an update of the talented Mr. Ripley in ways that are obvious, but through Fennell's writing, which is so sharp and so specific, it is always engaging, always, again, till the very, very end. I dug it for a while. Linus Sandgren shot it, who is usually Damien Chazelle's DP and David O. Russell's DP. He won an Oscar for La La Land. And so there's like a gorgeous kind of dreamlike, almost surreal quality to the languid days at Saltburn, which in time devolve into something more garish and nightmarish. Everyone's really good in this. I love Rosamund Pike as Jacob Elordi's mom. She just has such a way with a callous tossed off aside. She has a flair for both melodrama and just casual cruelty. Richard E. Grant is very funny as Felix's dad. I liked a lot about this for a long time, and I don't think you did.
I didn't dislike it, and I liked it way more than Promising Young Woman, which is a movie that I think has a lot of problems, and I've never quite understood why people were so willing to give that movie a pass. This one is, I think, succeeds at a lot of what it wants to do. My issue was more that what it wants to do felt so familiar, not just from talented Mr. Ripley, but from Down and Out in Beverly Hills, from Pasolini's Teorema. We have seen this story so many times. The interloper in the wealthy, decadent household who ingratiates themselves, who manipulates people and plays them off each other and it becomes what they want from him or her, and to what end. It gets established pretty early on what we're getting, which is that. And then it's like, okay, it's fine. We tell the same stories over and over again in different ways, and we find things to add to it. So I kept kind of waiting for some fresh thing that Emerald Fennell was going to bring to this particular story. And by the end of it, I kind of felt like she didn't. She was just kind of doing it again. And so I'm not mad at this movie. I think it succeeds at a lot. I think there's a lot of real performances. I did love the way it was shot. The mood of it is entertaining. But it just, by the end of it, I just kind of felt like I've seen this movie before. I'm just seeing it again with a very nice fresh coat of paint on it.
Right. It's really well done. That very familiar tale is really well done with a great cast. I didn't mention Carey Mulligan yet, who is the Promising Young Woman star. She got an Oscar nomination for Promising Young Woman, who is playing a character who's literally named Poor Dear Pamela in the credits. And she's just such a narcissistic drip that she's a house guest and she has no clue that they want her to leave. And they're all so phony that they're like, oh, darling, you can't go. No, please stay. But like, they can't wait for her to leave. And also I liked Alison Oliver as Felix's sister.
Yes.
Because she gets one killer monologue in the third act in a bathtub and like sums everything up. And I liked Archie Madekwe in this. Like everyone's really got away with her language, like with a tossed off bitchy aside. Like the pacing of it is great. And just the look of it, the close of it. And you can really feel the vibe, as you say, of like these long languid days of staying just a little bit drunk by the pool and how that devolves night after night into just like messy debauchery. There's one great long tracking shot where Felix is showing Oliver through the house, you know, and he's just so blasé about the history of this place and of his family and their place in the world. And, oh, there's this and oh, there's that. And I think it's illuminating as to who he is. But Barry Keoghan is, of course, the center of this. And we have to be with him as he is various versions of this character, depending on who he's with and what he needs from them. And there is an almost like literal vampire-like quality to the way that he increasingly ingratiates himself, insinuates himself with this family and takes over. There's a lot I want to say.
Yeah, I'll say
I am not saying.
If the movies that I mentioned earlier, you have no idea what I'm talking about and you've never seen them, you've never heard of them, then you will see this movie and be like, wow, this is so cool. This is really, I love all the twists here. But if you've seen Something for Everyone or, you know, like I said, Teorema or whatever, it's sort of like, okay, I see what we're doing here. Why are we doing it again? And that, I think the movie never fully answers that question.
Well, I think she went to Oxford, right? I think some of this is based on her own experiences of having been at Oxford. And so maybe she's wanted to explore this world that was 20 years ago, but not all that long ago. It's 20 years ago, and yet it's timeless, as you say.
Sure,
this story of the rich are different. We know this, you know, but she's saying it in her own specific way that is very entertaining. There are scenes here. I saw stuff here I have never seen before. And there are some moments that made my audience either squirm or giggle. So I think these moments, and we'll get into it in the spoiler talk more, are very illuminating as to who this character is and like the depths of his depravity. But I don't, did you squirm or did you giggle in those scenes?
A little of both. I mean, I think the gays are going to have a lot to take home here. But again, they usually do in movies like this, like in Something for Everyone, where Michael York is out to seduce the household. Part of the household is Angela Lansbury, but part of the household is at least one guy, you know? So like, that's just par for the course here, where the manipulator it's beyond sex. It's just about like, you're a person and I need to win you. What does that entail? Yes.
Well, so what's your number then?
I'll say like a 7. I mean, I admire a lot about how this movie was made. I just wish that she had brought something to the table that made me go like, wow, okay, that's a new take on this. And there isn't one, but the take that's here is handsomely mounted, as we like to say.
Yes, I'll say 7.6, and we'll get into more of why that is in our spoiler talk. Saltburn is out in theaters this weekend and expands wider eventually, I think.
That sounds right. Yes. And it's definitely going to be, I mean, just judging from the emails that I'm getting, it is definitely going to be an award season player in terms of getting that push from the studio.
All right, let us know what you think.